So I wasn't even planning on telling my classes about all of this, right? It just, a lot of times in class, I'm very improvisatory. I'll have like a general idea of what I'm going to talk about, and then I just kind of riff and I just let myself go
That like
wherever I go.
jazz professorship, like you're just
Exactly.
lectures on like jazz.
That's right. And so, but I was talking about the Beatles, and I just randomly decided to mention, since I know that the kids nowadays are into classic rock, I was like, isn't it weird that when I was growing up listening to classic rock radio, I like never heard the Beatles and I never heard Elvis. I mean, Elvis was considered oldies, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like, but this is weird,
Oldies
especially
92.
92.1.
yeah. So, but like, this is a weird thing though, because think about it from my perspective, from sort of the more academic perspective of teaching a class, right, where you're talking about this kind of stuff. Like, Elvis is the original rock star, and when we talk about like who made rock big, I mean, obviously he basically took black styles and just made it palatable for a white audience in the 1950s, but he is the first rock star. And it's weird to me that we grew up listening to classic rock and we weren't hearing like the original rock stars. But what I was going to say before, that's beside the point. So just before we started recording, we were all sitting here and we're reminiscing about the radio stations we grew up with. And then Matt just mentioned this Oldies 92. And this occurred to me in class as well. When I was telling the kids about it, I immediately in my head remembered, I didn't tell them, but I was like, TK99, TK105, 96.9 WOUR, 95X. Like, they all came immediately to my mind. And even if I didn't think about it in class, but right now I'm thinking, like in sixth grade, I briefly listened to pop music.
Hot 107.9.
Hot 107.9 and 93Q, 93.1. Right? Is 93.1, I think?
Yeah.
Or,
90,
yeah.
90,
And then
Y94.
And Y94.
So yeah, my parents were big Y94 FM.
The
best hits of the 80s and 90s.
How do we remember this? The last time I listened to any of this shit was in like 2005, probably. Like, how am I remember? It's so weird. And then, of course, Matt, you remember like the fucking jingles too.
Yeah.
But it's just funny how that works. Like, weird, out of all things to stick in our minds for like 20 plus years, like these radio call numbers and letters are
I mean,
there.
I can go even further, right? TK99 had Gomez and Dave and the Blue Moon Cafe on Sundays, and K-Rock had Beaner and Ken in the morning. Oh, that was a syndicated show. That Beaner and Ken, that was good. We liked Beaner and Ken on our morning commute into high school. Like shit.
I remember Rick DiIulio.
Ted and Amy on 93Q.
Yep.
They were like, Syracuse's favorite radio couple. Who else?
Yeah, that's impressive. Yeah.
Well, it's funny, like when you talk about the radio, so I keep thinking of, Ethan, I think you know this skit from Family Guy where they, like, Stewie and Brian do the radio station and they do all the ridiculous, like, 93Q, the number 111 hit music station, like all the weird, like, like sounds and all that type of stuff. But yeah, like, the only reason I know Elvis and like Sinatra stuff is because I grew up in an Italian family and that type of music was on. But like, I guess my dad, I don't know if my dad had any Elvis CDs. My grandpa did. He definitely had Sinatra, so I heard some Sinatra just through that. But on the radio, nowhere. Like, I don't even think like Oldies 92 played Sinatra. Maybe played Elvis. Maybe played Beatles. Beach Boys. Like, all that came. Like, those specific examples came because either my parents or my grandparents had CDs or tapes or whatever to listen to. But then most of the classic rock came through either TK99 or whatever. But
the days before there was all Bruce all the time, Sirius XM. Oh, this is from January '73 when Bruce stopped at a rest stop and played a 2-song set in a echoey bathroom. Yeah, oh my God, there was like 7 of us there. Oh my God, it's like the demo tape. Oh,
dude, before E Street Radio took off, there was a station. It's called Bruce Springsteen Radio out of Canada. And it was like online, whatever, but you could stream it and, early in the streaming days and whatever. And that's what I used to listen to. And But yeah, to your point, I totally get what you're saying.
No, I make fun of, but also one of the coolest things was the Western Reserve Historical Society had a bunch of old concert recordings from the Agora way back in the day, like the famous Agora, which in Cleveland, which the Trample's playing tomorrow, by the way.
Oh, hell yeah.
And one of the ones they had was like one of the only 2 recordings ever of when Bruce played there. Like thinking about that, that's really cool. Right? They also had, WFAN, I think, in Cleveland was the first place to really play and spin a lot of Rush. So the Agora was one of the first places they played.
Mike and the Mad Dog, big Rush fans. You said WFAN,
WOUR, whatever the one in Cleveland is.
There's you said no. You might be right, but I'm just saying WFAN is Mike and the Mad Dog.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. Well, I don't know. FU Ethan.
Well, no, I mean, I got to imagine that there are, or maybe not. Do they mix it up for every?
I don't think they. I think they're all unique.
Okay.
And I think like east, there's some dividing line too, right? Like it's like east of the Mississippi, it's something, and west. I don't know. I'm going to stop talking because I've been wrong like 7 times.
WFUE is pretty good though. I like that. WFUE.
No, you got to keep me honest. Give me shit more.
This is good. Okay. I like this.
I did say WFAN. Yeah.
Wait. So I have a real question, Matt. Did you know that college kids or whatever Ethan demographic was talking about? Did you know they were into classic rock?
I've seen more younger kids buying classic rock records at record stores. So yeah.
Wow. Okay. I had no idea that this was the thing.
Yeah, it's a total thing. I remember. I mean, it's weird to think of them as classic rock, but I remember this was maybe last semester asking my class. I had brought up like the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and a bunch of people in class had like nodded, and I was like, "Wait, how many people are fans of the Red Hot Chili Peppers?" And a bunch of people raised their hands, and I was like, "Holy shit!" Because a lot of these kids, I think, they listen to all the modern pop and all the the really big artists nowadays, but a lot of them seem to be like huge fans of classic rock, and I don't know what that looks like for them, if it's just like Spotify playlists or what, but it's pretty interesting.
I mean, he's in great shape and still looks fine, but every time I see Anthony Kiedis now, all I get is like Steve Buscemi vibes from the one meme, like what's up, children or brethren or something. What's the meme?
The one where he goes back to high school in 30 Rock? Yeah. What's up, my fellow teenager or whatever?
Yeah. That's all I get when I see Anthony Kiedis now. Cause I'm like, okay, you're still in great shape and go out and put on great shows, but like you're trying to look young and you're not. You're not.
Yeah.
But also, this is not an original idea. Is Eminem to rap what Elvis was to rock and roll?
No. Well, I don't think we would say that. If you were going to try to make that argument, now I obviously know way less about hip hop. This would be something for cousin Greg or brother Jeremy to chime in on. I can say from my broad academic overview of the studying that I did for my class, if there is an equivalent to that, it would be the Beastie Boys. In 1986, I believe, they had the first ever platinum hip hop record called "License to Ill." And now there had been hip hop hits before that, but that was the first platinum record, and of course they were a group of white nerdy Jews.
Yeah, I was just purely thinking of like he repackaged rap that white people can like it now. Like
yeah. But the Beastie Boys did it as early as the 80s. You could maybe make an argument. I don't know a ton about all of the lyrical content, but you could maybe argue that Eminem's rap is like a little bit more violent and perhaps
much more violent.
So maybe he helped violent stuff hit the mainstream. But I mean, violent stuff, like, it maybe wasn't as mainstream, but like it was still plenty of a big hit. I mean, I played NWA "Fuck the Police" in class. I don't know if you guys have listened to that. It's from like 1989 or 1990. I mean, it's pretty brutal. It's amazing, but it's brutal. And I mean, that shit was a big hit. I don't know if it sold 1 million copies, or I don't know how we would quantify it, but like that stuff did get big, even in the the early 90s, kind of the starting to get like more gangster rap, like really kind of heavy duty stuff. That's probably stuff that cousin Greg would know really well, I bet, Kyle, right? Wouldn't he have been like coming up those years?
Yeah, for sure.
And just to connect it all, Ethan, Eminem did pay tribute to the Beastie Boys as one of his album covers. So like,
yeah.
Oh, is that right?
He's not pretending anything there. Like he's not claiming. He's not doing a JoJo Siwa and claiming that they created gay pop when it's been around for ages. Like ages. Like
yeah.
But yeah, so his Kamikaze album cover looks exactly like the License to Ill.
Mm.
Right? It's cool. The back end of a jet plane, right?
Yeah.
So same color, wash, same everything. So
yeah.
Anyway, anywho,
I was gonna say I don't think it's actually right, but I also think maybe there's a reason for it, because I was like, okay, well maybe the Beastie Boys are Elvis to the Beatles, where Eminem is more like the Beatles, but Elvis was obviously just so big, and I think, fair or not, there is something that happens to legacy, like when it ends tragically or earlier than it should. Even though by the point that Elvis was done, he was nothing like the artist that he was early on in his career and everything. I mean, he just tore apart his body and whatnot. But I think it's hard to like the Beastie Boys. I actually was just going to watch a documentary on them yesterday.
Oh, cool.
There's a relatively new, I think it's from maybe 2020 or something. Like, they're still around. They are still in the public eye and whatnot, and you lose that aura of. It just makes you more interesting, almost, like, in a way. Like,
sure.
I watched the Springsteen had a documentary recently come out on Hulu, and at the very end he used a Jim Morrison quote, and I had no idea that the Doors, Morrison specifically, had any influence on Bruce. And I've been thinking about it so much, because I'm like, I mean, the Doors were good and Jim was good, but I was like, if he had lived, like, would he be revered in the way that he is by so many people, or would he just be a sad sack, because he'd be out of music and a fat old white guy at this point, and everything. I don't know.
I mean, certainly these people who die early, there's like an added element of sort of aura and mystique, but and I think that probably does, it adds to things over time in terms of how they are perceived and remembered, but certain of these people we're talking about, like, they did still achieve sort of unfathomable, like, almost supernatural status in their lives. I mean, Elvis is one of them. Jimi Hendrix is another, right? Like, Hendrix died when he was 27, but I mean, he was already like a huge deal and people knew it.
Mm-hmm.
Elvis, it's really funny. Like, this is still on YouTube, so anybody can go and watch it. I play this in class. So you guys remember, like, the Ed Sullivan Show was like a really big deal back in the mid 20th century, right?
I mean, that was the Beatles.
And the Beatles, same thing. In I think in 1964 was when the Beatles were on, and I think Elvis was on. What's the video? The video that I show in class was 54, 55, or 56, somewhere in there. But anyways, he does like Hound Dog, and you got to watch it and listen to the audience react. I mean, they are losing their fucking minds. I've never heard anything like it. I mean, I don't know what a modern, like, Taylor Swift concert would sound like, but that's the only thing I can imagine would probably be like it. I mean, they are fucking losing it. Year.
Yeah,
I imagine Beyonce too. Yeah,
I could not believe the women. I thought my left ear was gonna just completely blow. Like, I was in the very top row, so I didn't bring. We were at Bank of America where the Panthers play, so I didn't bring my earplugs, because I was like, okay, I'm gonna be far enough away. But these women were screaming, like, and I've been to how many Springsteen shows, and really close, in some cases and whatever. Nothing like this. So that's the only thing I can think of too, is like Beyonce or Taylor.
Yeah. It's really cool to watch though. And I told the kids, I mean, I think they all take it for granted, because even though they're only like 15 years younger than us, they grew up so different. They grew up with technology in a way that we didn't. And so I think they take a lot for granted. And so, periodically throughout the semester, I'll go on these little tangents where I'll talk about, like, you really need to not take this for granted. And like, when I show them Elvis on the Sullivan Show and the Beatles on the Sullivan Show, I'm telling them, I'm like, you have to understand that these are watermark. That's the word I want to use, isn't it, Matt? Watershed, thank you. I was like, is it mark or shed? These are watershed moments in the history of American culture. And these are two of the most important moments in all of 20th century pop culture, Western pop culture. Like these are hugely important things. And we can just fucking go to YouTube and watch them whenever we want. It's amazing. It's a miracle. It's incredible. And it's and there's a ton of, I mean, there's so much, right? I mean, we have, I don't think we understand like our riches in this sense. I mean, there's even videos of like Louis Armstrong from the 1930s that exist. It's really, really incredible what we just have immediate access to, in terms of video or audio, right? But really incredibly important, like historical and cultural documents that we can just access like that. It's really amazing.
All right, boys. Well, we are 16 minutes now into our final episode.
We haven't even discussed like the most important news of the day.
The elephant.
McLaren is now, after like over a decade, they are constructors champions for 2024's F1, and they couldn't dethrone Max Verstappen from the overall drivers' championship. But Lando Norris did a great job as kind of the team lead there. And McLaren is back on top. Congratulations to the Papaya team out of England. Well done.
Matt's going to convert us all someday.
No other sports news, right?
Yeah, no other news. That's it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, as I mentioned in our text thread, we can super turbocharge, get through as many of these as possible if we want, or we can pick one to dwell on. We can do whatever you guys want to do.
I've got some stuff to say about the actual big news, which I'd like to say. And I'd also like to hear your responses. I mean, we, other than expressing our awe in our text thread, we haven't actually talked about this at all, the three of us. So yeah. I would be curious to hear what you guys have to say now that we've kind of gotten more details. But so, of course, we're recording on Wednesday, December 11th, and on Sunday night, December 8th, Juan Soto signed a 15-year, $765 million contract with the New York Mets. And, of course, as Yankee fans and Soto fans, we were all sad here. But I want to talk about this a little bit. So, first of all, we've established this on the podcast, but I just want to reiterate, fuck all of the typical stupid-ass fucking Neanderthal Yankee fans, okay? I see all this shit online of people, like, burning his jersey and talking about how he's such a sellout and all of this, and I fucking hate it so much. Dude came up when he was 19, loved his hometown team, then got traded again, right? Then got traded again. He understands that this is a business.
He only got traded twice.
Nats, the Padres. Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah. Okay. He understands that this is a business, and even if he had any sort of sentimentality about baseball and what team he was with, that shit probably was forcibly kind of taken from him, right? He probably realized being the only like ever superstar at the age of 26 to have been traded twice. Like, I'm sure he realizes it's a business. But did A-Rod get traded? He didn't get traded twice.
But
yeah, just
he got traded from the
Rangers to the Yankees, but after he had already become a free agent and after he had already signed his big deal. So Soto is unique. But more to the point, I would challenge any of these motherfuckers, if they got these two offers, to see which one they would take. And let's talk a little bit more about the details. So the Yankees offered 16 years and $760 million. Mets offered 15 years and $765 million. So Matt, correct me if I'm wrong on the math. I'm pretty sure I read this. Essentially, it works out to $3.5 million more annually that the Mets offered. So a higher annual value and a higher total value. But just as importantly, there are various escalators in the deal, that the Mets deal, that will allow Soto to potentially make over $800 million. So now we're talking about a $45 million overall potential difference in the deal. And then one other aspect, and I don't know if you guys saw this came out, I think, like yesterday, maybe. It turns out that Soto wanted a private suite for his family. Yep. And the Yankees would not do it because Aaron Judge and Derek Jeter pay for theirs. And so they didn't think it was proper. The Mets had no problem. They gave Soto his suite. Now, we don't know for sure, and I doubt we will ever know how important the sweet is or was to Soto's overall decision. However, can I just say also, fuck the Yankees? And we've talked about, because to me, this goes right along with the same idea that we have talked about with the stupid George Steinbrenner shit that is left over. George leftovers. No facial hair, and Alex Verdugo can only wear one necklace, and we're the Yankees, and we're classy and we shave and we're clean shaven and we cut our hair. To me, this smacks of the same thing. Like, Juan Soto can't have a suite because Judge and Jeter pay for theirs. Shut the fuck up. Give him a suite if you might get him. Oh my God. Like, I despise that so much. It's so stupid. Like, all of the hills to die on, all of the principles to hang on to. It's so fucking moronic. Now, in terms of the actual money, I don't feel bad about that. I think the Yanks, they gave a great offer. Steve Cohen wasn't going to be outbid. So Soto went there. Great. To me, it's not surprising. I would have done the same thing. I'm fine with that. I'm also not mad at Hal for the deal he offered. I think 16 and 760 is probably too much for Soto, and we can talk about that as well. I think what Cohen ended up offering is too much. And you guys know I love Soto as much as anybody. So I'm not mad about the Yankees' financial offer. I think that's a really great offer. Cohen wasn't going to lose. Fine. But the sweet thing, that really pissed me off hearing that. That just seems like such a stupid little thing. And then, yeah, just the way that so many of the fans react about, like, oh, he's a sellout, blah, 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 blah. Like, fuck all of them. They're so stupid. So right.
from what I was reading, it goes beyond the suite, too. So
security, too, family, right?
It wasn't his family as much as I think it was his brother and his driver / chef / trainer.
Okay.
That he was also kind of ticked off that the Yankees restricted clubhouse access for them.
Okay, I saw something about like there was a security issue or something.
Yeah.
So remember last time they gave trainer access? What happened?
There was the A-Rod's guy, right? Doctor Feelgood?
No, Clemens guy.
Clemens guy. Didn't A-Rod have some weirdo too, or did they make him stay out of the clubhouse?
Yeah, I don't think he had clubhouse access. Yeah.
No, but it was A-Rod's brother, right? A-Rod's brother was doing nefarious shit.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Facilitating it at the very least. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I did read that the kind of cherry on top, aside from the suite, was the $75 million up front.
Oh yeah, the signing bonus.
Yeah, that was a big part too. That's. I mean, again, as part of the total annual average value, great. Like, good for Cohen's got the cash flow to pony that up. Like that is a good move. That is a good. And it's funny to read too that see a lot of Mets fans saying the contract's worth it just because of how much it pisses Yankees fans off. But
yeah, yep.
Seth Meyers had a great joke too about how he came in on Monday morning and like his whole crew was like, "We got him," and he was like, "They caught the CEO murderer," and they're like, "No, we got Soto."
Luigi made an appearance on this podcast.
Yeah. I actually thought Ethan would have a Luigi rant or a healthcare rant there too.
Oh, I'm happy to do one afterwards. Let me finish my my glue vine here, get a little looser, and then I'll say something that I regret.
Glue vine?
Yeah, you don't know about glue vine, Matt?
No.
Oh my God. The valid dick doesn't know? This is insane. I can't believe this.
What is going on? It sounds like an oatmeal byproduct that's sticky and thick to drink.
I don't know if its original origins are German, but the word itself is German. It's mulled wine. It's just hot.
Okay.
Yeah, hot wine with like fruit and spices.
Okay.
And so not even beer.
No, because I don't have any beer, but we had glue vine from last night.
Man, now it's not as good.
Are you drinking still? Can I send you some beer?
Yes, yeah, you can. Yeah, you can.
Okay,
send some.
all right.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no. We made glühwein last night. By we, I mean my partner, actually, in this case. But glühwein is a perfect winter drink, and we ran out of our beer. So and then we have to come back to Soto. But as you guys know, I went to Casey over Thanksgiving break on our way back, and I bought 4 bottles there at the tap room to bring home, and we already drank all of them.
How was it up there? Like, I mean, that's like.
So
your Mecca right now.
Yeah, and I want to go back because we didn't have time. So we literally stopped in. I bought the bottles. We sat down and we drank 2. We split 2 little 4-ounce tastes from that were on tap. but we were not there for any longer than a half an hour because we had a long
you were
drive.
let's get the hell home.
It was Sunday. We needed to get home. We had school and a busy week starting, and so we couldn't stay. So I'm desperate to go back and just like spend an entire day there, just literally in the Casey tap room. But the other thing is like Glenwood Springs. So it's in downtown Glenwood Springs, which is this little mountain town, right? And it looked cute as shit. So I'm like desperate to just go and hang out in Glenwood Springs. And I was thinking, it doesn't even, Matt, you have been in person, no?
Mm-mm.
Oh, you haven't. Okay. So when you eventually
been to Frisco and then to Breckenridge.
Okay. So next time you come out, we'll have to make a pilgrimage then.
Yes, I put a pin in that. I want to talk about that later. But
okay. So
hey, wait,
Toddy.
I thought you were traveling or something.
I got back today. It was a very quick trip. Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah, 6 hours there on Monday, 5 hours back today.
Oof. I was gonna give Colin like props for handling dad, solo dad job, but
he did.
Mom's here to save the day.
It still was 3 full days for me.
That's not true. It was 2 full days for you.
You got home around 4:00 today, so
yeah. Uh-oh. That was one of the half days.
Anyway, so Glenwood Springs.
We're gonna witness the dissolution of no. So Glenwood Springs, cute as shit. And Matt, when we go, or if you somehow make it there without me for some reason, before we're able to go together. So downtown Glenwood Springs, really cute, looks awesome. I really just want to hang out and explore it. Casey is just in this, there's like this kind of main square area, but it's also like right off of the highway. So it looks kind of weird. It's really funny, but it looks, I mean, it's so funny because it just looks like a regular fucking place. You just, you see the sign, it's Casey Brewing, and you walk in and it's just a little tap room. And like the guy who was beer tending that day was just this like hippie looking dude who's like smelt like BO and was just, and then he did pay for one of our,
the beer is good.
Yeah. Right. And he did pay for one of our tastes. He was just like, hey, one of them's on me, which was very nice of him. But I was just like, oh my God, these people have no idea. Like these people in Glenwood Springs have no clue. It just looks like some regular fucking place. And it's like, this is one of the greatest breweries in the world. And it's just chilling right here looking like nothing. It's so nonchalant. And I was like, I wanted to like sit outside and just get on my knees and like bow to it a bunch of times,
Well, so good choice. The Floodlands collab. How was collab?
Oh, yeah, that? It was delicious. So there was a Floodlands one that was excellent where they traded, what did they do?
Cultures?
They traded cultures, and then Casey made their Saison recipe with their with the culture that they had gotten from them. It was delicious. It was excellent. And then there was a Saint Darius one that was also awesome. I can't remember what the specifics were with that one. I'd have to look it up. And then just a couple of bottles that were just theirs, like normal that I got. There was a jalapeno one. Honey, like a farmhouse honey ale with jalapeno called East Bank is the series. East Bank jalapeno.
Okay, I have had some East Bank beers.
Yeah, it was delicious. I mean, just as you would expect with Casey. I mean, a perfect balance of the flavors, like just enough of the spiciness from the jalapeno, just enough of the sweetness from the honey. I mean, it was fucking perfect. And then there was one other that I got there. I think it might have been Marionberry fruit stand preserves, which I've never even heard of a fucking Marionberry before. But it was delicious. So, and then when we were there, the stuff we got on tap, there was a side project collab, which I was very excited to have on tap.
Was it jammy?
It wasn't jammy, unfortunately. I wanted that. It was called Vanilla Leaner, and it was with peaches and vanilla.
Leaner's a good one.
Yeah. Honestly, it had a little bit too much vanilla for me. It was still great, but I would have actually preferred less vanilla. And then I can't remember what the second one we had. I think it was a raspberry something or other. But I mean, it's Casey, so everything was outstanding, of course. Yeah. But it was just so funny going there because Matt, like obviously we've talked a lot about Treehouse on this podcast, and I've only been to the what is it called again? Chatfield?
Charlton.
Charlton, thank you. I've only been to the Charlton location, but the Charlton location is like this massive compound, and there's this fucking sign that you like drive under as you're pulling into the compound, and it's this big, beautiful building, and you'll see. Yeah, exactly. Like you go to Treehouse, and it's like, oh my God, like this place is insane. Casey is just this tap room just attached to all, like it's like right next to a little Chinese restaurant, and like there's just this line of buildings all attached to each other on the main square. Doesn't look like anything special, and I'm like, this is Casey.
Yeah. The destination breweries are awesome, but there's something that can be said. Like one of the last ones that Sam and I checked out in Philly was called Brewery ARS, and it's like 2 little buildings in South Philly that they like knocked out the wall in between, and they barely have enough room to fit the fermenters in, and it's like an unfinished, like smelly concrete painted garage type place, and like, you know, and it still smells like the wort that they, you know, the mash they just done earlier that day, and it's like, all right, like I'm gonna get some good ass beer here, like this is great.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Versus like you go to some of those like startup breweries where it's like you walk in the tap room looks beautiful, and you're like, all right, someone invested $2.5 million in this tap room, but is their beer worth anything?
Right.
Like, no, I'd rather have a shitty tap room. Like, right, like one of the first sour breweries I took my brother to, Wild Ale Sour Breweries, it's called Ferment or Reform in Philly. I took my brother there when I first got in town, and we literally had to like cross over like do not enter construction tape and then walk down an alley. And we walk down, we knock on the door, and literally the guy just opens up the door and like is serving us from the door of this little like cinder block hovel with like 3 tables outside, and the place is delicious.
Yeah,
they're great, and they make some awesome sour beers. Human Robot brews their wort, and they literally walk it down the street in a giant tank for like 3 blocks and move it into their own building and add the culture to it. And they make some of the, you know, most revered wild ales in Philadelphia, and it's like, yeah, that's what I want.
Yeah,
give me that shit. Don't give me the $5 million tap room. Give me the fucking, you know, bubble gum and duct tape and shoelaces, you know, type place.
Yeah. So, and I mean, you know, Casey's was like nice enough. It was just like so nondescript, right? I mean, it was just super, like, just really kind of basic. I mean, they have like really nice merch, and they have some nice art on the wall. They have this specific logo that they have. Matt, you've probably seen it with like a bunch of fruit and like a glass of beer in the background. It's like they have like stickers of it. It's a really beautiful logo. There's like a big mural of that on the wall, and so, you know, but it's like it's literally just like some tables and some chairs, and like, you know, the bar is nice enough, but like that's it. It's just like this little square room, and it's like, holy shit. Yeah. So, but it was awesome. It was cool to go, and I'm excited to go and just spend like hours there. So when you come to Colorado, hopefully that'll be something we can do. And Kyle, it would be ideal if we can do it all together. We'll see.
That will dovetail exactly with the plans I have. So I will.
That we'll talk about.
I'll talk to you about later. Kyle, what are you drinking? We're
what are you having?
We're all over tonight, and I'm happy with it. But
oh yeah, cool. I am drinking Trophy, leftover from when I was in Raleigh over Thanksgiving. This is called Industry Rule number 4080. It's an IPA. Very good.
Nice.
Love Trophy.
I wish. I want to try their peaks again. Like that was their old spot. I went to their original spot where I could barely fit in at the end of the bar and like get a pizza, and I was like, oh, that was good.
I mean, I have some in my freezer. Do you want me to send it?
No, that's okay. That's okay. I need it fresh. Excuse me, I'm getting over a little sinus infection here, guys. So, but I've got in the glass now, which is almost gone, is some leftover, some New Zealand Hop Week, extra tall, extra kiwi. And then
nice. I liked that one. I remember that.
Yeah, it's really tasty. And then the next is on deck is super delicate green nuggets with some like, you know, Super Smash Brother hands out there.
Ooh, that looks fun. Nice.
Yeah. So what is it? I don't know. Candied sweet citrus, berries, tropical fruit, and lime zest. Okay. All right. Super delic hops from New Zealand. So we'll see how that goes.
Love it.
So yeah, but I've been systematically trying to get through the freezer or the fridge full of beer right now. So we're doing a good job, but still got some ways to go.
I have one more, Matt. Not to interrupt, only if you're done. I just want to say before we move on from beer, there was one other fun thing, beer related, I wanted to talk about. So, as part of Thanksgiving week, we traveled and we went out to spend Thanksgiving with our friends in the Phoenix area. But we kind of turned it into this trip, and we made some stops along the way. And Yulia did some networking and blah 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 and all this kind of thing. One of our stops was in Los Alamos, New Mexico, at the Los Alamos National Lab in that town. And those students of American history will remember that Los Alamos is where the Manhattan Project was headquartered from approximately 1943 until the end of World War II. And it's where Oppenheimer himself and like the main team of the physicists working on the atomic bomb, that's where they were. Now, Los Alamos before that was basically nothing. It was like it was like basically a fucking village. And then in the course of like 2 years, it exploded. And to this day, now it's like a city.
Exploded.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. But it was like nothing. And then all of these scientists and engineers and their families and everything came as part of this project. And so all of a sudden, within 2 years, it became this like small city. And to this day, it's it's a small city, and it's really important because the national lab. I mean, it's one of our most prestigious national labs. In any case, there's this main drag where a bunch of like the higher ups of the Manhattan Project lived. This is like right near the house where Oppenheimer lived. All of this kind of thing. And there were a bunch of these houses that were all built on this little street right next to each other. And there's a brewery right next to it now that I went to, and that's where I'm going. But because cast iron, so back in that day, bathtubs were made with cast iron, and cast iron was needed for the war effort. So all of these new houses that propped up did not have bathtubs. They only had showers. And so if anybody wanted to take a bath, they had to go to like, there was like one fancy house in the area where like they could go and take a bath occasionally. But apparently one of the women, I can't remember her name, maybe she was one of the scientists' wives or something or whatever, but she was like kind of snarky or whatever, and she named that street, she dubbed that street Bathtub Row. And it eventually got an official name after the war, like 7th Avenue or some shit, right? But the Los Alamos like county or whatever, or the town, they kept lobbying the overall county or the state or whatever. And eventually in like 2007, it was officially named Bathtub Row. This street is called Bathtub Row. And according to Google Maps, there's even a plaque about it when you walk on the street there and you go to all the, like the historical houses. According to Google Maps, it is the only bathtub row on the planet. And then more specifically to our point, there is a brewery there called Bathtub Row Brewing. And I went there and the beer was solid, really fun hang, tons of regulars. And I just loved it. I just loved the whole story of Bathtub Row, the fact that there's like a Bathtub Row brewing company. It was super fun. It was really, really cool. And just, I love that the tying in with the history and stuff. And they have a beer, an IPA, and it was good, called the Hoppenheimer IPA. And I, of course, I had to try it. I had seen there was like a glass of it in the museum, and I was like, I didn't even know it existed. I was like, well, I have to go over there and try it. And it was good. It was not a hazy, but it was like really tasty. I actually really liked it quite a bit. But anyways, Bathtub Row Brewing, super fun. And so anybody who ever passes through Los Alamos should go. It was a cool hang.
Yeah, if I was thinking, I would have recommended you track down some of the brewery's called La Cumbre, and it's a New Mexico brewery. Then they've got a really famous IPA.
I see that in the stores around here
hazy.
sometimes.
It's a West Coast one. It's like a really piney resinous one. I remember my brother brought me back a 4-pack for Christmas one year when he was working out there, when he was traveling so much for work, and like that like crisp, like pine on the tongue, but like, oh, I can't stop drinking this IPA. Oh, yeah, but that's really cool. Bathtub Row, I like that.
Yeah, it was fun. So, anyways, that's the end of my beer spiel. We need to go back to Soto because I wanted to hear more of your. Colin hasn't even said anything. I want to hear your thoughts, both of your thoughts.
Matt,
good for him.
Finish.
Good for him. Is that what you said, Matt?
Yeah, good for him.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's better to build a team with that money instead of.
I actually agree with that.
A 2-person lineup with that money. So, hopefully, this Max Fried signing is the beginning of a kind of an organizational shift. Right, let's build the team. Like, right, we can't have DJ playing every day.
Let's go get Christian Walker. Let's trade for Kyle Tucker.
Let's upgrade over Rizzo. Right. Let's get another outfielder.
I agree.
The starting 5, the starting pitcher looks great. Like Cole, Fried, Rodon, Keel. And so I saw the fifth starter, and one projection was Stroman, and I was like, how dare you put Stroman over Clark Schmidt? Like, Clark Schmidt should be there as a solid number 5 right now. And then you have...
It might be trade bait.
Well, that's the thing. So
yeah, I think we should trade one of them, either Heel or Schmidt, for Kyle Tucker.
Well, so that's the what I read today is that the rumored package right now is a Luis Heel and Ben Rice.
The Astros are interested in Heel, supposedly. Like, very interested in him, yeah.
Which I'd be really sad to see Heel go, but
Tucker is really good and one of the most underrated players in the game, and we could use a left-handed power bat.
Only if we think we could sign him, right? That's my thing.
Well, yeah, we need to sign him. Yeah, hopefully.
We ended up not missing Manny Banuelos. Can't say his name.
So many of these prospects have been like, and this is to Colin's point, like so many of them have been misses.
But everyone in the East is ramping up, right? So, Toronto just traded for Jimenez, right? Garrett Crochet is going to the Red Sox. Danny Jansen's going to the Rays. They're making their move.
The Orioles signed Tyler O'Neill, right?
Tyler O'Neill.
But they need pitching. I don't know what they're doing.
So the AL East is going to be tough this year. So good for the Yankees to keep pushing. But Colin, come on. Let's hear your thoughts, big man.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, nothing would make me happier than Brian Cashman showing that he hasn't lost the ability to construct a roster given all the money and the resources that he has, and be able to better facilitate and distribute that money. Like football coaches talk about it a lot. You don't necessarily want to get the loss to have the learning, lesson, and everything. But in this case, the Yankees lost. I think there's a lot to learn from this. Especially when it comes to money. And it could be one of those moments. I mean, it's really, really interesting to see if this could be a shift in how they go about roster building, moving forward. Yes, they're still going to spend gobs of money. Yes, they're still going to have, they just gave Max Fried an 8-year contract.
Yeah.
$218 million.
Big one, yeah.
But to offer somebody 15 fucking years or more, is insane, and scary in a lot of ways. And I know it gets overplayed because it was George Steinbrenner, and the dramatics of telling stories about him, but the whole this version of the Yankees that we know is really because of that day in Arizona in 2001 when Mariano Rivera blew the lead in Game 7. Up until that point, when Steinbrenner had come back from his suspension, he was still George, obviously, but he was a little bit more hands-off, and he was letting the GMs, Stick Michael, Bob Watson, and then Brian Cashman kind of do their jobs for once. And it worked. Look at the success. And there's the famous, I reported it in my book, there's the famous line where he was like, we did it your way. He says to Cashman, right after they lost, he's like, we did it your way, now we're going to do it my way. And you immediately see it's not so much the money, it's who they spent the money on and how they constructed those teams that come after that, 2002 to 2007-ish, 8, when they missed the playoffs and everything. And then even after that. And yeah, I know they had the quote unquote reset in 16 or whatever, but obviously there was some miscalculations with roster building in terms of, especially the offense, too many right-handed bats, not enough balance. They didn't have enough pitching earlier. Now they have enough pitching, but not enough, offense and everything. So it's like Cashman's been kind of struggling, I think, for a little while now, trying to get it all together at once. And I think this is a really good opportunity to just hit reset and be like, okay, we got the pitcher. We need to get the fucking offense. We need a Kyle Tucker. We need the upgrade at first base, but or maybe it's like Cody Bellinger in the outfield or something like that. I don't know, but nothing would make me happier. I am certainly going to miss the at-bats from Juan Soto. It was a thing of beauty.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever seen anything like it.
Yeah, he's amazing to watch.
I just, it's amazing to watch. I certainly will not miss his defense, and I only imagine that's going to get worse. And
Yeah.
that,
And then he'll
for
be
me
a DH.
personally, that was always a concern,
Yeah.
about giving him a long-term deal, with having Judge on a long-term deal, with having Stan for at least the next 3-4 seasons, and everything. And it's like there's only so much room to get those DH at bats in there,
Right.
and everything. So, yeah, it sucks. It's not the end of the world. I like, the overall aspect of it. I think that it is better for baseball when the Mets, when the Dodgers, when the Yankees, when the Red Sox, kudos to them, for not
Trying.
prospect cradling and, getting
Yeah.
rid of 4 prospects today for Crochet, who I know isn't really that proven. He's not as proven as Sale was, when they made that big deal in, what was that, 2018, 2016 or whatever.
Yeah.
But, kudos to them.
Yeah, seriously.
I think it's better when those teams are putting all the chips in the center of the table. I would love, as I've written extensively over at Yardbark, I would love for the bottom dwellers to get on board and start spending money too. And it just, I'm not gonna go down that lane. I'm gonna stick with what we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
But I think baseball's in a good spot, with the results of everything that happened. I don't know. I maybe because he was only with the team for 1 year, I'm not crushed.
Yeah.
I thought I would maybe be a little bit more upset, but I think like even having the distance between the end of the World Series and how the World Series ended,
Yeah.
kind of bittersweet. Like I already swallowed the tough pill, I feel like, as a fan. And I mean, it sounds crazy, but God, the defense drove me crazy. And I just could not imagine having to continue to watch that,
Yeah.
year after year, and hope that the offense stayed the same and everything. But I hope it works out for him. I obviously hope the Mets don't win a World Series, but I hope it works out for Soto, and we'll see what happens. But overall, I think it's good for the sport, and I think it's good for the Yankees too. They just got to be smart about it.
Yeah.
So, in 2024, the Yankees spent nearly $50 million, $48 million on Soto and Rizzo, and the Mets are going to be spending $56 million, whatever they
51,
are.
I think.
51
before anything else. Yeah.
Same pool of money, right? Soto, Rizzo combined for 8 WAR. I think we can get that for $50 million somewhere else.
Yeah.
Whether it's
through a couple players.
Yeah. So I it's not the end of the world. It stings, right? Yeah.
Yep.
I would have loved to see him in a Yankee uniform for the rest of his career, but
there's like something about finding those 3 to 5 year deals, right? I know they're not as popular, and I know they're usually not the top range players, but you can still find really productive, really, really great players who fit that model, and it doesn't hamstring you, like the Yankees have been in some cases in the past. And I would love to just see more of those, and less sentiment on their end. The whole DJ contract. I mean, it was sentiment that played into it. They did it with Derek Jeter too.
I mean, no. DJ was coming off of 2 years as one of the best hitters in the league. Like, and he was a versatile glove, but I mean, he was old and he fell off the table. Like,
yeah, I mean, I think we all saw the warning signs coming, and it would have been really interesting if like the bat tracking stats had been around then like they are today. And what we're talking like 5 years ago wasn't even that long ago. But yeah, I just want them to be smarter. I think,
remember, in the shortened season, he led the league in WAR. Like
I mean, what's his face led the league in homers? Luke Voigt. He's not even in the league.
Oh, Luke Voigt. Oh my God, he's not even in the league anymore.
I think he's been getting minor league deals.
Wow.
He was with the Mets, the Syracuse Mets, like last year.
Yankee Black Magic, huh?
Yeah. So I mean, in the year before that, DJ finished 4th in MVP voting. So,
2019 was an incredible season, but now, as we know, the balls were also juiced.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, so I can justify that deal, But now, I mean, it's a stinker. It sucks. It's a bad deal. I was all for it, and it sucks.
Yeah. I just want to see more of like, more like the Tino Martinez type players who you're like, okay, the high end is good, and he's,
you're talking like a Teoscar Hernandez type deal, right? Like,
well, Teoscar's old.
Yeah, that's the problem. He already like 33, 34.
Yeah, but I'm saying like the Dodgers signed him for 1 year last year, and he fucking paid gazillions of dividends. Like,
yeah, and so I'd imagine he's probably looking for like a 6 to 7.
He's still 30.
At least
he's still
3.
32, but he probably is looking for a longer deal. I mean, he's been
someone like
good.
him would be like 3 years max. Like, you can't, if he doesn't want the 3 years, then fuck it, you got to move on. Like you can't keep getting fucked over because you just want to be the Yankees and spend the money, and everything. Like, at some point there just has to be a recognition that age does matter, and it will catch up. It does catch up to everybody.
Yeah.
So
Alex Bregman is still on the board. He's 30.
Yep, I've heard Bregman might be an option.
No,
he has been really. I don't
guy.
want him because I don't like him, but he has been really good his whole career.
Fuck that guy.
I would like it only in the sense to say, like, okay, then you could shift Jazz over to second, and I mean, I think he did fine at third last year, but I think he would be much more comfortable.
Yeah. And Bregman is, I think, like generally very good defensively, isn't he?
Yeah.
But wasn't he one of the ringleaders of the trash can and everything?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, I don't know. And I always hate, like, I mean, if we sign him, I'll obviously root for him. But like every time we play the Astros, I mean, it's just because the Astros have had our number for years now. But there's something about Bregman and Altuve when I watch them hit, I just want to punch them in the face. Like, there's something about him. Jordan Alvarez doesn't bother me. I don't know.
He wasn't on that 2017.
Well, yeah, not 17, but he's still been there for a few years, anyways. But, anyways, I mean, Bregman's really good. It'll be interesting to see where he goes. But
So Matt would know this. SU 9-3. They're going to a bowl game.
I think they got I think they beat more ranked teams than certain teams in the college football playoff right now. But
probably. But you play who you play.
Yeah. Holiday Bowl or something? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, they're going to San Diego to play
San Diego, right? That's
Washington State.
Somewhere nice.
Washington State, yeah.
Yeah, I was looking it up. I was real curious about it. Yeah. And the CSU Rams, by the way, went 8-4 and are also going to a bowl game.
I was gonna move on to them next.
You were?
Yes,
oh, you were. Okay.
They're in bowl season too.
Yep,
Yeah.
First bowl since 2017. So
Woo!
Big deal. Yeah.
Are they? How both of you? What's the outlooks for the future for both of those programs? Is this like kind of a flash in the pan, or?
It's so hard with the transfer portal.
That's what I mean, right. I know so little, but that's what it seems like from what I've read.
So much this year, I think, unfortunately, is credited to
McCord.
Accord. Honda McCord coming.
Yeah. College football is weird now.
So apparently there's a dual threat guy that we're getting from Texas that's transferring or something. I don't know. Like, I think Fran Brown is a good bet for the next couple of years. For the first time in over 15 years, a majority of the top prospects coming out of New York State are going to Syracuse. So he really kind of focused on like, hey, like let's make sure the people who are here play for me.
Yeah.
Now, granted, like top prospects out of New York State's like 8 people. When you look at like Ohio and Pennsylvania, it's like 180 people. But like but it is what it is, right? I think
still you want to get the low hanging fruit and
yeah.
3 or 4 kids from CBA are going to Syracuse next year to play.
Nice.
So
I remember CBA.
So yeah, fuck CBA. They won the state championship this year on Hail Mary, so good for them. But
wow,
yeah,
really?
fuck CBA. Yeah.
Well, you know why it worked for them is
they say they're Hail Marys.
They actually do their Hail Marys. They are true Christians. So yeah.
So yeah, I mean, what do you guys think? Speaking of college football, are the Giants going to draft Shedeur and hire Dion.
Kyle, have you heard anything or read anything about that?
I mean,
I've
it
heard
can't
more
be any
about...
more of a train wreck. So
yeah, seriously, isn't it supposed to be a weak quarterback class? Like I know Shador is supposedly talented, but isn't it considered kind of a weaker class in general?
Yeah,
there's a guy out of Miami, and that's about it. And he couldn't even beat Syracuse.
Cam Ward.
Yeah.
Okay, baby.
Yeah, I don't know. The only thing I'm on for the NFL is Saquon Barkley MVP. That's
Saquon MVP. Man, yeah, he's been amazing this year, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
He's got a chance to break the all-time season rushing record, single season.
He's got an extra game.
Shit. He does have an extra game. But do we hold it against Roger Maris?
I can't let you have that. Come on. Although I will say, was it last week or 2 weeks ago? Someone said that Josh Jacobs in Green Bay was having a Saquon type rebound season. I was like, no, he's having a good season, but he's not having the season that Saquon. Like he's having a very good season. He's like third or fourth in the league in rushing in Green Bay, but he's not having a Saquon season. Like I was like, that's a bit of a stretch there, even for me who loves to give you shit for Saquon. Like a little bit much there.
Yeah.
Also, what kind of name is Keytron? I watched like 10 minutes of the Oregon game, Oregon Penn State, and I kept thinking Megatron, and I was like, that's Calvin Johnson, but I mean Keytron seemed pretty good, so like, is it Keytron or Keytron?
Tez Johnson. Is that who you're talking about?
Is it Keytron or Keytron? You're running back
for Oregon?
No. For Penn State.
Oh, Kaytron Allen. Yes.
Keytron. Yeah, just like he's pretty good. It was a good game, but yeah.
Yeah, that was Kaytron's best game probably in his 3 years at Penn State. But
I mean, you guys know the Key and Peele skit with the East West College. Okay, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Dan Smith.
Yeah. Well, apparently I was reading about it the other day. Apparently the genesis of it was, so I guess Jordan Peele maybe isn't like a huge sports fan or wasn't at the time, but apparently he like somehow heard a certain name, right? And he goes up to Keegan and he's like, hey, did you know that there's a football player for the New York Jets named DeBrickashaw Ferguson? Uh-huh. And Keegan was like, yeah, man. Like, oh, and you don't know? Like, there's a whole bunch more. And then apparently like 2 days later, Jordan just shows up and puts the script on Keegan's desk for the skit.
Hingle McCringleberry.
Oh, it's one of my favorite skits.
Devoyne shower handle.
It's so goddamn good.
Fudge.
Oh my god, it's amazing.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Well, so you know, like the fourth iteration of that sketch, they actually they featured NFL players with crazy names.
Oh, I don't know if I've seen that one.
Yeah, like the last version they did that was like that had actual NFL players mixed in there as well.
Yeah,
nice.
Amazing. Yeah, that shit makes me
Thacmarius.
Yeah, it makes me laugh every time. That it's just so good.
No, like I remember my cousins a couple years ago at Christmas talked about he was at Nebraska. I don't know where he ended up, but there was like a D-back named DeColdest in the game or something. Like his first name was DeColdest.
Uh-huh.
And he got now granted, here's where I'll say good for you. He got an NIL deal for a Nebraska area HVAC company that promised that they had the coldest air conditioning in Nebraska. And I was like, good for you.
Absolutely.
Hopefully make a couple $100,000 on your name there. And hopefully you don't have a maiming injury playing for a school that doesn't give a shit about your health.
The coldest Crawford.
There he is.
Yep.
Wow.
The coldest.
Amazing. Oh my god. Yeah. I mean, that's just like, that's perfect.
And my cousins were laughing about it. And it was one of those, like, my cousins say some crazy shit, but they're generally like Jack is a listener of this podcast every once in a while. Like they're way more tapped into, like, I mean, they're younger, so they're way more tapped into like what's currently going on. So I was like, no way. And then I think my cousin Alex was like, yeah, his name's the coldest. Here you go. And I was like, holy crap, that's insane. Like,
yeah.
So shout out to Jack and Alex because like I thought you guys were full of shit. Now, granted, I just try and keep up with you guys, and I was convinced that what's his name, Hunter something. there's the same guy in the NFL or in the NFL and MLB named Hunter. I thought they were the cousins or something. I don't know. And they were like, "No, you're wrong." And I was like, "Yeah, I don't know shit anymore." So, what's his name? He was a receiver for the Raiders. Shit, I gotta figure this out. But anyway,
no,
I'm all over the place tonight.
What else?
I'm okay.
What else do we need to hit?
CEO murders.
I mean, I mean, I can. I mean, you guys know what. I'm sure anybody listening to this knows how I feel about it.
I mean, for everyone who's like dismayed that the internet is cheering this murder, I posit to you those that have watched any sort of Ebenezer Scrooge telling and have enjoyed when the townspeople rejoice Ebenezer Scrooge's death.
Yep.
What do you think's happening right now, and what does that tell you about our culture?
Yeah. No, I mean, to me, it's like completely expected, and I mean, I have to say, I was pretty happy to see how much it kind of seems across the spectrum that people were sort of agreeing on this. And that was kind of encouraging in my mind. But then, yeah, I saw these takes of people, being like, "Oh, wham, this is horrible. This is terrible. A man was murdered." And it's like, I think that those people are, I get it. I get that, like, your deep down, your morality tells you murder is never wrong and blah, 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 blah. But
murder's never wrong?
Oh, excuse me. Murder is always wrong.
I got you.
Yeah, you know what I was trying to say.
We all know what you meant. Like,
yes.
Right. Loss of human life is always a tragic thing.
Yeah, it's always a tragedy, even if you think a person deserves it.
If you're going to say that lens in terms of this murder, then why don't you apply that same lens to your fucking 5 million insurance cases that you denied with an AI bot that was looking at your cases, Mr. Twice as high as the industry average rejection rate for cases there.
Exactly.
Again, I agree with you that lens is terrible. Loss of human life in any case is terrible. Like, life is special, life is precious. But you can't have the lens one way and then not have it the other way just because there's some dollars involved. Like, fuck you. Excuse me. That's my take there.
Yeah, no, 100%. That's 100% right. And and to me, it's just so shocking to me, the people who are all like wham about it, because it's like, are you, like, maybe those people have been fortunate with their healthcare coverage. And me, I'm looking back, I have been pretty lucky with my healthcare coverage, knock on wood, so far in my life, but there's no guarantee of what might happen to me eventually and what might happen. But I mean, it's not hard. Just go to like ProPublica. It's not hard to find stories of just truly awful, reprehensible things that these companies have done. And you want to talk about like loss of human life. I mean, gosh, like the amount of people who have died because of our healthcare system, because of lack of coverage, or, it's unconscionable. It's not acceptable. It's one of the horrible things about the modern United States. And this is one of the things, we talk about occasionally, and this is one of the reasons that I like kind of hate this country, and I speak openly about it. And of course I hate patriotism as a general rule, regardless of the country. But the modern United States has taught us, we have been sort of indoctrinated into believing that there are certain things that are just part of the natural course of life. It's just part of having a society. So for instance, all of this healthcare stuff we're talking about, health insurance being denied, the problems with coverage, how we spend more per capita than any country, and people are still not covered, people are still dying, people are still going into insane amounts of debt. And then, of course, an issue that we know gets me especially upset, shootings, and more specifically, like children. Like, we are brought up in a country and in a society where it's like, well, children getting murdered in their elementary school is that's just the price of freedom. That's the price of freedom. This is America. Yep, this is America. Second Amendment. We have the right to firearms, and unfortunately, bad things happen. There's some bad people out there, and Matt's American face is really good. And so, like, this idea that these are things that are just part of it, that we should just accept it. It's just insane. It's absolutely insane, and people should be constantly, every day, thinking about how awful and unacceptable it is. And frankly, this guy getting murdered, I'm not saying that murder or assassination of key figures is the answer necessarily. But I think it sent a fucking message, and I think it sent a really good message and an important message.
I hope it serves as a wake-up call to how bad things are and that there needs to be like, from personal experience, having gone through a horrific, life-altering accident.
Yeah.
The level of care and my ability to recover from that was directly tied to the job I had, right? And if I was even if I was in the same company, but an hourly employee instead of a salaried employee, my experience would have been tremendously different.
Yep.
And just based on the benefits and the coverage and what I could and couldn't get, and I am incredibly grateful. Right, my employer self-insures, which means our insurance pool is everyone at the company. So I readily acknowledge that my recovery and my insurance and my healthcare was paid for by everyone else who works at that same company. But that should not be the bar. And it's, I mean, I can't imagine what the total cost was, what it should have been, what it actually was, what I paid, I'm grateful for it. But I don't think there's anything that makes me any more special than anyone else who works for this company or anyone else who, could be crossing the street in the United States. It's screwed up. It really is. And as we learn more about this person, initial stuff that's come out is that, I mean, he comes from a wealthy family.
Yeah, it looks like he's not even like some young leftist or anything. Like, he's not even.
He is a leftist.
But I thought I read that he was kind of moderate. I thought I saw that.
No. I was seeing he was pretty extreme, but he comes from a pretty wealthy family that owned end-of-life care facilities.
Oh.
But it was mom and pop type facilities that were being. Guess what company has bought up the most end-of-life care facilities and has maximized profits while dropping service levels? United Health. Like, there's more to this that I hope we learn.
Yeah.
Because again, who knows if he's right or wrong? I'm not passing any judgment on that. But what we've learned so far is that his family owned end-of-life care and nursing home facilities, and we're having, from what I've read, we're struggling more and more to compete against some of these massive industry players that were purchasing more and more facilities for the profit motive, not for the care motive.
Mm-hmm.
So again, I'm curious to see more. Don't know. Yeah. I can't make any judgments. I can't make any assumptions. I know what's been leaked so far. Altoona, of all places. I've been to Altoona. Horseshoe Curve National Park, National Monuments there. It's a big, giant railroad formation in the side of the mountains. Pretty cool.
Oh, that's cool.
They've got the Boyer Chocolate Factory there. For those of you who aren't familiar with the nastiness that is Boyer chocolate, they make Mallow cups. Remember Mallow cups?
Sounds
like
familiar.
Reese's, but with marshmallow in them. They're gross. But they did have a Pennywise pretzel factory there that was pretty damn tasty. So I will say that. Shout out to Mama Root for finding creative places to take us on road trip vacations in the summer. I think that summer especially was a weird one. I think she had just come off a medical procedure. We really didn't have time to go anywhere, but we still took a vacation anyway, and damn it, we had a good time.
Yeah.
Altoona. Fucking Altoona.
Played baseball there.
Did you?
Yeah.
Part of the dream team or something else?
When I was playing for Penn State Scranton.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Yeah. We would play all the Altoona as a branch.
Penn State Bechrend, I think, was in Erie. You ever go that way?
Yeah.
I wish I knew that. I would have gone and seen you.
Yeah.
The good old days.
Yeah.
I just remember our Case's club hockey team would play. I don't. Am I saying it right? Behrend.
I don't even know how to say it.
It was the Penn State branch area. Case's club hockey team would play their club hockey team, and Case club hockey was just an excuse to get drunk in the stands and go nuts. So I'd I'd buy like the half-proof vodka that I could Ohio grocery store brand half-proof vodka that I could get from the corner store that wouldn't ID me. And I'd mix that 50-50 with like Mountain Dew or Dr. Pepper and get drunk and
holy shit.
Be wrecked. They had a shuttle. We could get to the ice rink on a shuttle.
That's smart. That's awesome.
I think the last game I went to, I ended up running up and down the boards with a garbage can, smashing the garbage can into the boards, yelling that the refs were garbage. And then like the coach came over and was like, "Hey, if you keep doing this, they're going to give us a penalty. So please stop." And then I realized like a year and a half later, he was my separations, like my distillation professor. And I was like, "Oh shit, that's Professor Jesse." Like, oh my God. Like, I hope he doesn't remember me. He probably does though. But he was also my favorite professor at Case. So
that's amazing.
Hilarious.
Sounds like that time where you were banging the wood out in the backyard during Memorial Day over Aaron Rodgers.
My family still looks fondly on that day. I believe Toddy's quote, "You can't argue with Matt Root because Matt Root has facts," is still in the family lexicon. So, good old times. What else has happened in the sports world? Cavs won like 17 straight to start the season. That was pretty cool. The LeBron-Bronny experiment is a train wreck that absolutely everyone could see coming.
JJ Redick, too.
JJ's not good. I just knew that Brown and Bronny was going to be a train wreck, but JJ's not great.
I mean, they're not playing very well, so...
Yeah. The Giants, man, like they need more people flying planes above the stadium. That's bad. The Jets, predictable. The Jets were predictable. Yes. The Giants is just, it's getting sad now.
It's getting very sad.
Well, the Lions, holy shit, Lions.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, like beating the Packers convincingly the first time around and then beating them in a close game the second time around. Like they're kicking butt. They're good.
Yeah. It'd be cool to see a Lions Chiefs.
Yeah.
Maybe or something.
Yeah, I don't want to see it, but it'd be cool. I'd be interested, right?
Yeah. I mean, of course, yeah.
I like the Goff story. Like,
yeah, I like the Goff story too.
And the
especially
fact that
because
like,
everybody thought he was getting like the raw end of the deal.
Yeah. Well, and even like last week for the Packers game, like half of the Lions defense now is like guys they pulled off the street, and Dan Campbell's making it work. Like,
yeah.
So that to me is also impressive. Like,
yeah,
they had the Packers in the rope most of the games, so that's pretty cool to see.
Yeah.
College football playoffs. Army got shafted. Damn it, Army. Curious. Hopefully, Boise makes a run. I'd like to see Indiana make a run too. They won't, but I'd like to see it happen.
Isn't Boise State going to get destroyed?
Yeah, they probably will.
I mean, I know I should like.
Boise plays the winner of our game, Penn State, SMU.
Okay, because I know like Boise State is Mountain West, and so I should want them to do really well so that the Mountain West gets some respect. Although CSU is going to the Pac-12 next year, anyways. But like, I don't know. It seems it's weird to me, like because Alabama did not get in, right? Now I know they had some bad losses, but it's like still Alabama. Like if Alabama and Boise State played, I mean, who's going to put their money on Boise State?
But the whole point is, remember when Boise was the darling 10 years ago and they beat Oklahoma, right? In the Fiesta Bowl. So, like...
Okay. Well, it would be cool to see them make a run.
Most likely, yes, they're going to get destroyed. But it's the little Giants. Like, there's that one time. Like, the one time Rick Moranis could pull something out of his ass and they could win. You know, the Statue of Liberty play or something. I don't know.
God. What a great movie.
But, yeah, like Penn State should beat SMU and Penn State should beat Boise. So Penn State's actually got a fairly decent runway ahead of them.
Yeah, Indiana plays Notre Dame. They're in the same bracket as well as Penn State. So, the winner of that game, and then they play the Georgia, and so Penn State could, if they win their first round game against SMU and they beat Boise, they would face the winner of Georgia, Notre Dame, Indiana, those three teams, and would that be the semifinal? I don't know. There's too many rounds now, but yeah, they Penn State got a. I feel like there's a little bit more pressure now on them to deliver, because if they lose, especially if they lose at home to SMU, and then if they, like you were talking about, Ethan, just the perception of losing to a Mountain West team, they're.
That's a fireable.
They've obviously got the Heisman Trophy winner in Ashton Genty, and he's amazing, but they don't recruit at nearly the same level as Penn State does.
And by recruit, you mean NIL dollars, but I mean, yeah.
Say the quiet part out loud now. That's all it is. So.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, just to be honest, right? I saw a ranking of like the top 10 NIL schools in terms of dollars spent, and like, well, guess what? Texas is number one.
Yeah.
Texas spent $22 million in NIL deals. Like, well, yeah.
Yeah, Ohio State spent like $18 million.
Yes, I think that's the reality now.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say if it's good or bad. I don't have a good feeling about it, but
yeah, it's too early.
I am happy that players are getting money now. So we'll see how this shakes out.
Yeah, but I think it's a good field overall. I was shocked. So they did the Penn State matchup was the last one that got announced, and it was between SMU, Alabama, and Miami, but basically everybody had SMU and Alabama in their projections, and I just thought for sure the committee would go with Alabama because they're Alabama. And when I saw SMU pop up on the screen, I was like, wow. And so good for them. Hopefully a good draw for us, and they'll play well. But they played well on Saturday. They still didn't win, and they got to get that monkey off their shoulders somehow. So,
Now, Ethan, are you all the way through a sleeve of saltines by now?
Not all the way. I've only had I've had a few. I didn't have a chance to eat much today, so this was my snack. But I've had.
Okay, all right.
A half plus 60% maybe.
All right.
Yeah. So.
I mean, I had a whole box of mac and cheese for dinner, so I can't really say I'm doing any better. So
yeah. No, I just needed to grab something.
Goodles makes some mac and cheese now with like not the powdered sauce, but like the goopy sauce.
Goodles.
I
never even heard of that before.
It's a Celia House mac and cheese favorite. Yeah, it's like a protein mac.
Oh, fun! I'm looking at it. Nice.
Yeah, so they have one that's like a white cheddar cheese sauce now. Ooh, it was good. But they also make like a elote one and a smoked bacon one and a hatch green chili one and a cacio e pepe one. Ooh, I mean it's pretty tasty mac and cheese.
Yeah,
and Toddy loves it because it's got protein.
There you go.
Yep.
Except she calls them Goodles instead of Goodles.
Wait,
Goodles.
I don't know who's right.
It probably is Goodles.
Is it good like good or like goodle? Like
like noodle. Gooey or noodle.
Noodle. Yeah.
Good noodles. Good noodles. Well, this is one of those stupid things about the English language. I've talked a lot about this with my partner, right? Whose first language is a different language. Not that you would be able to tell. Her English is so good, but English is so fucking dumb. And this is one of the key things is double O words and how to pronounce them.
Ooh
and the
versus
fact, yeah, oo versus or like book and took is different than like noodles, or what are some of the other ones? If we were to think for a minute, there are so many. Spooky. Like it's crazy. And so the fact that we're sitting here and we don't know in the case of goodles or goodles because there's good or there's noodles or gooey, it's fucking stupid. It's a stupid language. So Yeah, so I don't know. What is it? What were they going for? This is an important question. Colin, tweet at their CEO and just promise him that they're not a big enough company. He doesn't need to fear for his life yet.
Yeah, we'll give him some airtime on the podcast, but he needs to send us some free mac and cheese.
Yep.
I'm sure they're pining for it.
Hey, they texted me like 5 times on Black Friday while I was in Scotland, so they can shove it.
Beautiful.
Let's see what else. What else did we miss? Come on, I'm not ready to wrap this up yet. We gotta figure out what else we missed.
This is our final episode of 2024. So Matt is
it?
Yes.
We won't be able to.
We're well over an hour too.
The next one is Christmas Day. You don't want to do a little Christmas?
You're welcome, listeners.
Yeah. Google says that it's Goodles.
Damn you,
what
Toddy.
Google now?
Or let me see. Yeah, they say you can say it however it makes you happy, but we choose to emphasize the good in Goodles. If you're stressed about how to,
Google has a PPC.
Well, this is on there frequently. I'm on the Goodles FAQ page now, and it says if you're stressed about how to say it, just remember it's all Goodles.
I should have trusted the marketing executive to.
So, Goodles, Goodles, whatever the fuck you want.
Shout out Toddy. Shout out Boss Bomb marketing executive. Shout out. I just put dirt in a bag.
Well, this is sad that we're not going to do another one until 2025.
That's how life works, dude.
Ugh. Well, what else do we? Belichick going to UNC?
Dude, retire. Like, spend time with your girlfriend who's 1/3 of your age.
I know, right?
Weird.
He can't let it go. You know, he's one of those guys.
Like, yeah.
You spend your whole life doing something, you can't let go. I mean, there's a lot of musicians like that too. I get it.
You got like a 22-year-old model girlfriend. Just go right off to the sunset, dude.
That sounds like a good idea. Yeah.
Like, sail the world. Take a page out of Tom's notebook, and just like be happy. Go away.
Yeah.
Ethan said college football is weird. I mean, college football is in a strange spot right now.
Well, I mean, fucking
for
like
many reasons.
Like Jay Norvell, the coach for CSU, I was reading today. He said that the top 26 or 27 players on the CSU roster have all been offered money to go somewhere else. Like, this is CSU. I mean, yeah, they went 8-4 and they're going to a bowl game, but this is still like what, like a 4th tier program? I mean, I don't know how you would tier it, but I mean, it's not, you know, obviously this is a step in the right direction this season, but this is still not like some great, super prestigious program. And I mean, I don't know what CSU's money is like in terms of what they are able to pay in NIL deals, but it's just like pretty mind blowing. And then like reading all these other teams, Syracuse, Ohio State, all the big programs too, like this guy's entering the transfer portal. This guy's it's so weird.
So the head coach of Marshall, I think, just accepted a job for Southern Miss.
He's the guy who recruited Saquon Barkley to Penn State.
Wow. There was, and this was not a joking headline, which, like, because Marshall had a very good year. It was like, is the entire Marshall team going to enter the transfer portal now?
Yeah.
That's so
you
crazy.
Talk about, like, the reason Indiana's having success this year. Well, they got their coach from James Madison, and James Madison was incredibly successful last year at a kind of mid-college football level. And they also had, like, 16 players or something ridiculous like that transfer from James Madison to Indiana, and suddenly, boom, Indiana is the top 10 team in the country. Like, it's weird. It's weird as shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like unrecognizable when I think about college football, like as a kid. Like I don't, it feels like a whole new sport in some senses.
Paul Pasqualoni and Donovan McNabb with Marvin Harrison in the Tostitos Bowl.
That's what I remember.
Kansas State.
That's what I remember.
Yeah, Charles Huff, he's married to a Penn Stater. Her name is Jessica. I've had her on my podcast before.
Oh.
And she ran track and field at Penn State. That's where they met. And then he was on one of Franklin's early staffs and recruited Barkley to Penn State before. I don't know if he went straight from Penn State to Marshall, but he's been at Marshall for quite a few years now. And went 10-3 this year, won their conference, and took that job, like Matt said. So
yeah,
pretty cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. All right, boys. Well, I'm going to give my shout outs, and you can decide what you want to do after that. I'll give a shout out to Brother Dan. He has a mailbag question that we're not going to get to today because it's about golden at bat, rule or whatever. We can definitely get to that next time. There were more pressing baseball issues to get to. So anyway, shout out to him. I did get the question. And then shout out to Brother Jeremy. Got my ticket. I know I already showed you. Can't wait to see you in January when you come touring through Charlotte.
Yeah, shit. You come to Philly too. I can't wait to see you. I haven't bought my ticket yet, but fuck yeah, I'm pumped.
Amazing.
Well, like he played. Oh shit, what was the venue name? The something yacht club in Cincinnati. When I was out there and I couldn't make it, and I'm like pissed off, and he was like, "Fuck yeah, that's a great venue. Like, especially for like heavy hardcore bands. Like, it's a great place to go." And like, yeah, I regret it to this day. So I want to make sure I see him when he's in Philly.
We had COVID. Somebody had COVID the last time he came through. Like back when COVID was still
a thing.
It still is a thing, but no one cares anymore.
Right. Yeah.
Although I did test twice. Like, this is just a sinus infection. It's just a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Fucking hacking up a lung every morning.
Yeah.
Nice. Ethan, what do you got?
I don't think I have any. I was thinking about saying something snarky about my stupid, irresponsible students, but I shouldn't do that.
No. Yeah.
I do have some great students. I'll give a shout out to some of my really awesome students from this semester that I had some really fun conversations with. There's one kid who I talked with like after almost every class the whole semester, and he was super fun to talk to. I hope we'll stay in touch. And he now listens to Shostakovich, and he previously listened to like basically hip hop music and shit. And now he like loves Shostakovich, who is this pretty raunchy Soviet composer from the 20th century. And he told me, he was like, "I loved your class so much, and I'm always gonna think of you now every time I hear Shostakovich." And so shout out to my really awesome students, including Michael.
I'm just going through my stickers. I don't know if I've got any shout outs. The dirt era is coming to an end though. So
you're saying it out loud.
Yeah. I got to think of a concrete related nickname. I can't be a dirtbagger anymore. I got to figure out.
Well, we can ask my dad. He worked in concrete for a real long time.
Yeah. So this is. I mean, your dad did like yeoman's work. Your dad did actual concrete work. I'm just doing the saccrete. So
right.
But yeah.
Yeah. No, it's very exciting.
End of an era.
Yeah.
Peace out, Scots.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
More to come in the future.
Sweet. Well, I guess we're back in 2025.
Yeah, we are hopefully not going to lose to SMU.
That's right. We are.
Blech.